What is going on there, everyone? Sorry for no video and the weird schedule this week. My throat is killing me. Our Virginia weather, it's been in the 70s and then it drops down to the 20s at night. It's a whole mess. But I'm going to start this video with a little bit of a rebuttal from an angry commenter, conservative angry commenter, that yeah, he tried to say, first he yelled at me because of my tattoos, which he must not be a regular on the channel because I've explained that I used to be a liberal when I was younger. And I got a lot of dumb tattoos, that's for sure. I agree. If you don't like them, you can always hit that little donate link because tattoo removal and stuff's really expensive and I'm not going to pay for it. But another thing, more important thing, he said, I was talking about the situation with our governor here in Virginia and how he is a complete and utter moron and how we could either get a recall or something else. And he, in his ever expansive wisdom, I'm not going to name this guy because I don't want him to be attacked, but he said, oh, Virginia doesn't have a recall, you idiot, blah, blah, blah. You would think you know. Get your facts straight. Well, I do have my facts straight, sir. I don't think you do. Let me just read this real quick just to start the video, and then we'll go into the actual news segment. Virginia is one of two states that provide for a recall only through state statutes and not constitutional law. The other being Montana. Well, that right there discredits you, sir. Because it does have recall. It states it right there. Who may be recalled? Code 24.2-233 states that upon petition, a circuit court may remove from office any elected officer or officer who has been appointed to fill an elective office residing within the jurisdiction of the code. The Virginia Law Review in 1975, the year the recall statutes were enacted, noted of the law, a single code article now governs the removal of the state and local officers, both elected and appointed, except those whose removal from office is specifically provided for in the Virginia Constitution. That statute can be interpreted to generally mean all locally elected officials can be recalled. However, given the ambiguity in the state's language, particularly in regard to court jurisdiction, it is unclear to what extent the recall process would apply to state officers. There is no precedent of a Virginia state legislator or governor having faced recall, nor has the process been litigated in the courts. Removal of the Virginia government by impeachment is provided for in the Virginia Constitution. But you can see there actually is a statute for recall. It's never been used. It's never been even, attempted as far as I know. But it's there. Just saying. When you say get your facts straight, to me, make sure you have your facts straight first. But I digress. On to the Daily Caller. Antifa group plans to march alongside pro-gun protesters in Virginia. That's a funny way of putting it, really. March alongside. I don't see Antifa marching. Let's get into this story. Let's see what they're actually saying. A diverse gathering of pro-gun protesters is set to descend upon Virginia's capital on Monday. Could include an unlikely ally, a local Antifa group. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't trust this on its face at all. Sounds very weird. In what Vice called a bizarre meeting of the minds, Richmond-based Antifa, Seven Hills, also strongly opposes the gun measures now likely to become law since Democrats won control of both Virginia houses last year. And they too want Democratic leaders in Richmond to know. What? Since what? Now, I'm sure these Antifa people probably have their own reason for why they don't want firearms taken away, but really? I don't trust this at all. I just can't, but let's read. I think it's been pretty important for us to focus on the fact that control in America has a legacy of racism or racist enforcement. I, I can't say he's absolutely wrong there, so I'll give him that. An Antifa 7 Hills spokesperson called James, a self-identified anarchist who's withheld his real name for fear of getting doxxed, told Vice. Antifa, it's not the right... Well, never mind. You could be right, because you probably would be doxxed for even holding a pro-gun stance as an Antifa member. But yeah, the right wing doesn't really dox people. We've had our people, Candace Owens. She's one of our champions. She's always around fighting for the conservative cause, and she's doxed people, and that was a big problem. It caused a big stink for her and conservatives alike. Like taking guns away from black people because black people were perceived as a threat to property and the sanctity of the state. Yeah, that's happened. That has happened, and I don't know what to tell you. That just there is, especially with these Democrats in Virginia. Yeah, even the left are kind of racist. You can see it, especially when it comes, you can see it when it comes towards white men and stuff like that. Definitely racist. You can see it when it comes to the black community too, because they believe in white supremacy. They believe white people are on top and we are oppressing the bejesus out of the black community and stuff, which, no, it's just not true. I'm sorry, I see all of us as equal, but the left doesn't seem to do that, and it's weird. This is our fight as much as anyone else's, James continued. It's our state, and we are left largely out of the debate. We are left completely out of the debate, and the fact that an Antifa member is saying this, you would think our local government, our state government would be like, what? Okay, maybe we're screwing the pooch on this one. Maybe we have really screwed up. You think. You have two sides who couldn't be further from each other. I can't stand Antifa. Can't stand them. But they want to march alongside us. I'm willing to let that happen if they're being honest. But the problem is there's no measure of honesty with Antifa, We don't have any examples of Antifa really being honest, do we? No, we don't. Antifa's been just pretty much a homegrown terrorist organization. The presence of an armed left is not discussed. It's not understood. It's not understood because the left generally doesn't understand firearms safety or anything because they hate it so much. Here in Virginia, we do have left-wing militia type groups. And, at least from what I've seen, they are skilled, they're knowledgeable in their firearms and handling of them. And that's a kind of a good thing. To the armed left, gun control represents the rise of a police state excuse me, and oppression of minorities made powerless by disarmament. But it's a class issue as well. I don't know about the class issue also much. I mean, maybe we're going to read on. He could surprise me like he's been doing just by stating the whole argument right here. But yes, I do agree with the sentiment that gun control represents the rise of a police state and the oppression of not only minorities, but the people themselves, the general population. That's what this is going to do. This is oppression. This is tyranny. This is state government tyranny. In the case of Antifa 7 Hills, they believe they've got more in common with working class white Virginians, regardless of their political bent, than they do with many of the moderate Democrats who helped their party win control of the legislature in November for the first time since 1994, Vice reported. That statement right there is pretty huge, When Antifa is literally willing to join and link arms with the people they always belittle and this, that, and the other, you would think that Governor Northam and these delegates and whatnot would say, okay, we're doing something wrong because we're bringing two opposites together against us. But no, It goes right over their head, man. This is the ridiculousness and the moronicness that we're dealing with in the state of Virginia right now. Excuse me. Like I said, my throat's killing me. Vice reported, adding that the groups sees the coming January 20th rally, which is next Monday, as an opportunity to extend an olive branch to other gun owners, at least those who don't align with the far-right militias or white supremacists who are also expected to show up to the event. Now, I don't like the term far-right militias because a lot of these classified far-right militias are just conservative gun groups and stuff, but they class them as far-right militias to make it sound more hyperbolic. But there was 3 so-called alleged white supremacists arrested by the FBI because they were building, sporting rifles, which they like to call assault rifles. They were building sporting rifles and amassing ammunition, and they were planning on being at this event, which, thank you to the FBI. It seems like for once you're doing something right. Yes, get these. These are the people we need to get out. The extremists, they got to go, whether they're from the left or whether they're from the right. We on the right have a little bit better history of calling them out. Right-wing extremists. The left, not so much. But this is a weird olive branch, and I hate to say it, we should be willing to accept this. At least for this moment. And if they prove themselves to be moronic, crazy imbeciles like we've seen from Antifa throughout the years, then we can discuss that then. We can come, But as of right now, wow. While Antifa groups in other areas, particularly in the West Coast, often practice and condone violence against their political enemies and have even been called a major organization of terror by President Donald Trump, James says his group takes a different approach. And I've stated this in past videos that even the East Coast Antifa is still hands down better than the West Coast Antifa. The West Coast Antifa is pretty much backed by their local government, so they get to go crazy as much as they want with no repercussions. You had people literally bashing people's skulls and getting a slap on the wrist when they went to court. I don't even think hardly any of them saw any jail time. It's kind of incredible. I think what's particular about the South is that we have to be a bit more creative and sensitive to the people around us, instead of fulfilling some sort of meme of what Antifa is. I'll be dang. Jesus, this guy's actually talking some sense, he told Vice. That's really what we're trying to work against right now, especially by talking to conservatives and showing up. We aren't just a black-clad group of rabble-rousers who are out for attention and have jobs funded by George Soros. James declined to discuss the group's plans should white supremacist groups join the protest. Virginia Governor Ralph Northam has declared a state of emergency and banned firearms on Capitol grounds because he's a spineless little insert whatever your favorite derogative for that is. But, wow. West Coast Antifa, you might be able to take a lesson from this, but I am going to say I don't trust it as of yet. I just can't. I just can't do it. Because we've seen from Antifa numerous times that they can say one thing and they do exactly the opposite. They say they're fighting fascism while being fascist. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I plan to be there. We'll see what happens. God willing, this all works out, You never know. Having Antifa start to actually, do things in a logical manner and actually work with and talk to. This has been one of the biggest arguments that people on the right have had with all the left-wing groups, is that they stay in their little tribe. If they start talking to conservatives and things, I also think that they'll see we're not as different. They take a very extreme approach to everything, which is ridiculous. But in a lot of ways, we're just not that different. We're all people. We're all trying to get the best for all of us. And, our views just may not melt together well. but at least there's talking going on. West Coast, take a lesson from this. West Coast Antifa groups, take a lesson from this. These guys are willing to go against everything they've always been about for the most part to help keep our rights. Where you try to take our rights away on the West Coast by wanting hate speech laws, this, that, and the other. People can't even speak their minds anymore. These guys are helping to preserve one of the most hated by the left's amendments, which is the Second Amendment. It's interesting. Very interesting story. I thought I'd share that with y'all, but I'd love to hear your comments on this. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. I will catch y'all on the flip side.